So Cody Rhodes, I guess it's time to, like the news is broke that he has officially signed the contract. He's been signed for a couple weeks. People think he's gonna do one of those deals where he debuts at WrestleMania. And we were talking about it the other day in the group, and we were sent a clip of Cody from his podcast on or the AEW podcast where he was on there, and
who's running that now?
Still Shivani and Aubrey.
Okay.
And I've got the audio here. I'm gonna play it and just have you guys get like a grand laugh out of this whole thing. It's just comedy compared to what actually is going on now. So here it is.
Vice president of All Elite Wrestling. I told Tony this until I die. Mm-hmm. This is where this is the end of my.
You don't really have another option.
That I can't necessarily go back. The others can change. I really can't. And
I'll run it one more time.
And then I would love to parlay. I want to stay the executive vice president of All Elite Wrestling. I told Tony this until I die. Mm-hmm. This is where this is the end of my.
You don't really have another option.
That I can't necessarily go back. The others can change. I really can't. And
so James, apparently, this guy, and I'm just gonna open up the pack on this, right? Like I was saying in the group chat, I'm 100% happy that he left AEW. I've been calling for it. I was sick of the shit that we were doing on the TV. But let's not get it twisted. He's 100% a fucking fraud. Like, and this is not like me. Take my dislike for Cody, like, and his wrestling style and everything else out of this, right? Like, this guy was the square leader of doing dumb shit, like on screen, And I liked a lot of the the shots at WWE and breaking the throne and pulling out the golden shovel. He had an entire feud with Triple H that no one knew about. No one knew was happening on this thing, but this was him. Talking about he can't take direction anymore. He needs to play his own music. This propaganda, like this, they don't own pro wrestling stuff. When you tuck your tail and you bow down like the West Side Connection back for Vince McMahon after all this, after you were an EVP, probably making 7 figures already. So I want to address this little dumbass argument that people talk about where, you don't want Cody to get some money for his family. I'm sorry. I didn't know he was on EBT, sleeping outside in AEW. This man is on an executive contract, barely wrestling, doing multiple television shows. This man was not in the poorhouse, everybody. Let's get that correct. But let's take a look at it. Like, when you do all that, right? And we went over, I don't want to do the whole conversation we did last time as far as, hey, he can't win the title, don't care about any of that.
Okay.
What I care about is this man is a fucking fraud. That's and like this whole thing was like, it was orchestrated from day one. Like, this man, like, I'm not going conspiracy style with it, right? But all I'm saying is when you pull back all these statements, these interviews, these podcast appearances, these promos, they are going to look shit in record time. They're going to look like shit, and it's going to be just the sweetest taboo, as Sade would say. Like, for me, someone who's called all this shit at once, that said that man was a fucking wave rider, that was just pulled up and found the hot thing like a real worker would do. Can't take that away from him, but we're also going to call it what it is. It was a fraud, a scam.
Okay, so I'm with you. I'm not nearly as gassed up and excited to do it with the glee you have on your face as you do it. Like, it's like you've been waiting to do this for a while now. But I agree with you. Because it wasn't just a character.
Like, this man was
he did
selling
these promos
fucking Revolution.
Right, because he did these promos, and then he also, like you mentioned from that podcast, like he talked about how he couldn't go back. And to be honest with you, in a way, I think it wasn't that so much if he was a fraud as much as it was he was hedging his bets. Like, we know that he talks to Dave Meltzer. You know that like when that Flip Gordon stuff was going on, Meltzer said like, hey, like y'all got, you got to pay attention to the history of pro wrestling when it comes to angles with your wife, Cody. And then he said, I'll talk to him. And then what do you know? Pretty soon that shit got pulled. That whole best friends thing with Brandy and Flip, that shit was kiboshed, right? We've been hearing over the last, ever since this whole thing came to an impasse with AEW, with Tony Khan and Cody, that like,
can I give you
one
more
been hearing
thing?
stuff with Cody. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember when CM Punk was originally getting brought up in the promotion, and then what was happening? Cody was saying, I think CM Punk might sign with WWE. He was projecting.
Okay. I didn't even think of that far about it, but like Meltzer, if you're someone that talks to Meltzer, just like so many people have, right, or do, like Meltzer has always talked about like the guys that were in WCW and talked major shit on Vince McMahon and on WCW, and how Heenan never did it. And then when it was time for Heenan, who was still like when he gave a shit was still awesome. When it was time to try to get a job again, he didn't reach out to him. But Vince, because he has this weird thing about owning people that shit on him to pay people money for this whole shit on him, which is like, you think you won, but you didn't. You lost. Like you're keeping people alive. That you're keeping Bischoff alive after okay, you're an idiot. Whatever. But
we still have to listen to Bischoff to this day.
Right. But my point is this, right? Like Cody listens to Dave Meltzer. So when this whole entire thing, like whether or not Cody wanted to do it or not, he knew that it's like, if this shit goes belly up, what the fuck am I gonna do? I got it. I will do two things. I will be able to rebel our base, who is anti WWE, and two, I will set the course to talk mad shit. So where if it's time for me to end up back in WWE, I will not be left out in the cold like Bobby Heenan was. I'll be someone that he would be one of the first people that he would want to bring in, because I have talked so much shit and I would have to eat a lot of crow in that locker room if not. So Cody is like, and keep in mind, like, there's a different era when like the guys, they don't give a shit. They're all friends. They don't care. Like when Cody left, Kevin Owens hooked him up with the Young Bucks, and then they went from there, right? The rest is history. Like, when he comes back, you'll have Sami Zayn there. You have all the people he was already friends with, whatever else, and they're not going to have some hang-up because, one, that was Vince's interpromotional battle, not theirs. They don't care, right? Mm-hmm. There is no Undertaker doing, the Wrestler Court or Bradshaw or Mark Henry that wants to beat up motherfuckers they think they're at the gate. Or not Mark Henry, I forgot what it was. The guy in reverse. Oh, the Radicals when the Radicals showed up. So yes, like this was also him hedging his best this whole time. Like this was actually not only is he a fraud, he's also pretty smart with this, because he was playing this course where if this shit doesn't work out, or if I'm in a situation where like I don't want to be in, I can get myself in parachute back to WWE in a nice little position, and it seemed to have worked out for him.
Yeah, just hilarious, like on so many
not
levels.
Just a fraud, a schemer.